My research today is data-driven modeling of cerebral physiology and brain network dynamics. Since the time is very short, so I'm going to give a brief overview of my current research, what I have done during my PhD and my master program, and what I'm looking forward in my current lab, that is Neurostats lab at University of Manitoba. So the agenda of today's talk involves the research journey behind my PhD and my current research, and also what I aim to do in my future research. So my current research is highly multi and interdisciplinary, that includes computational multiscale modeling of brain networks and the analysis of dynamic processes in neurodegenerative disorders. We have also been working on hybrid, that is stochastic or deterministic modeling approaches to integrate data from different imaging modalities, such as from the neuroimaging scans of the human brain, from the PET and MRI scans of the neurodegenerative disorders, such as Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson disease, and cortical spreading depression. So my focus is on the neurodegenerative disorders and the brain diseases, which all falls under the umbrella of neurosciences. Then I'll be talking about my future research, which is also involves the integration of multiple modalities. We have been adopting the data from different databases. We have also been adopting data from the different hospitals all over the world. We have our collaborators in Canada, US, and also in UK. So we aim to develop machine learning model using mathematical and statistical modeling approaches for early diagnosis of the neurodegenerative disorders and brain network dynamics. We also have to make sure the model we have developed using the machine learning approaches and artificial intelligence, those are valid and also reproducible, so they can be useful in the clinical applications by the neurosurgeons and the neuroscientists committee. Then, in when it comes to transdisciplinary research group at University of Manitoba, I have my neurostats lab, which we started last year, and I'm also supervising undergraduate and master students for now, and I'm also advising PhD students. I have also accepted students from the MyTechs program, which is also a global link research program. So if you are interested, you are always welcome to apply for that program. It is for the 4 months internship. You will come and visit Canada, visit my lab, and we can work together. Finally, if you have any questions, we can talk about later on. So my research journey started in 2015, where I have done my bachelor's of mathematics from Comsits University, Islamabad, under the supervision of Dr. Zegam Zia. I was the class topper at that time, and as soon after I have finished my bachelor's, I went to England. I got a master's fellowship in 2016, and I was able to complete my master program in 2017. I have done my thesis regarding multiscale modeling of the neurodegenerative disorder using partial differential equation and also the stochastic modeling approaches. I got distinction in my master's thesis, and I have also passed my courses with high merit. And then in 2019, I got full PhD fellowship at University of Waterloo in Canada. And then I started my PhD in mathematical and statistical modeling, where the topic of my research, my thesis was multiscale modeling of brain network and the analysis of dynamic processes in neurodegenerative disorder. The good thing was I was the first woman who started PhD in maths department, and I was the first woman who fulfilled the requirements for a PhD in mathematics program from Laurier and also from the University of Waterloo. So they have joint program for the maths and stats students. During my PhD in 2021, my research has been highly recognized, and I got MS2 Discovery Research Grant from the Wilfrid Laurier University, and I have also been nominated as a Woman in Science at Laurier in 2022. I also got contract teaching faculty position during the last year of my PhD. I was able to organize different international conferences, national conferences, and I was able to chair session regarding the interdisciplinary mathematics and statistical and data science conferences. I was also the recipient of the invited talks in many countries like in Europe, in Saudi Arabia, and also in the United States. So in 2024, I got an assistant professor position at University of Manitoba, and it's been 1.5 years. I'm doing my services. I am in statistics department, and the aim of my research is again to develop mathematical and statistical model by integrating data from different clinical resources, such as from different hospitals, by having real patients data for the Alzheimer disease and also for the Parkinson disease. So I have also published my research in different high reputed journals. I have presented my research at different conferences, and I have been the recipient of different invited talks. So now what I have done during my PhD, so we have developed multiscale model of brain networks by integrating the data from different imaging modalities, by using functional MRI scans of the brain, by having diffusion tensor imaging to capture the structural and functional connectivity of the human brain. Because the human brain is the most complex organic structure known, and a major challenge of brain modeling lies with its multiscale spatial and temporal nature, because it covers synapses from scales to the entire brain. So we think that next generation couple based mathematical and statistical models, they are needed to advance the state of the art therapeutic strategies to deal with the symptoms of neurodegenerative disorders, as they are affecting millions of people worldwide, even here in Canada and also in the United States. So our aim is to investigate the dynamic changes in brain network. Those are associated with neurodegenerative disorders such as Alzheimer disease and Parkinson disease, because until now there are no drugs to cure the Alzheimer disease patient and also the Parkinson disease. So we aim to develop predictive model of disease progression by integrating longitudinal imaging and clinical data, since our ultimate goal is to prevent and effectively treat brain diseases. So, among other factors, our special attention is given to brain electrical activity as an important characteristic of neurodegenerative disorders such as Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson disease, and cortical spreading depression. So when it comes to the integration of the human brain data, there are different publicly databases available. The first one is ADNI database, where you can get access to real clinical data of Alzheimer's disease patients. So actually they have adopted the data from the different hospitals. And there is also one major website, Human Connectome Project, where you will be able to grab the data for the human connectome, and you can see how the disease is starting from the healthy state of the brain and how the brain is going to the disease state after a sufficient period of the time. So this is actually the main target of my research, where the first part is related to data driven modeling and the second part is related to task driven. So in data driven modeling, we are using the machine learning approaches, but in task driven we have to have some artificial intelligence technique to measure the behavior from the movement and outcome of the human body. So when it comes to data driven, first of all, once you have the data, for example, I have data from the Human Connectome project. So this represent the connectome of the human brain. Once you have the information about the brain connectome, you can divide it to edges and nodes. Now edges here represent the connection between different nodes of the human brain, and nodes are actually the brain regions where we can see and perform our critical tasks regarding the brain modeling. So once you have the
Excuse me.
information, yeah.
Yeah. The kind of nodes that you decide is based on the kind of disease or is based on some biological facts?
So it depends on the disease, and if you are considering the nodes in a healthy state, that depends. So in if you are considering the connectome into a disease state of the human brain, so it depends which regions you are going to select, from which regions you want the injury to happen.
And similarly for the edges, how do you choose the edges? Is it like a complete graph or you
Yeah, so
select
we'll come
something?
to this later on. So edges, we have to draw a brain graph, and then we see the connection between different brain regions. So those connection, they will represent our edges.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I will come to this one later on. So, first of all, we started our research with the large scale brain network model, where you can have a large scale brain connectome and you have as many regions as you can have, which covers the entire brain connectome. So, this is actually the structural MRI scan of the brain we have adopted from the Human Connectome project. So, structural MRI scan of the brain gives us the structural anatomy and the names of the brain regions. However, functional MRI scan of the brain gives us the information about the functional connectivity of the human brain by measuring the changes in the cerebral blood flow in response to neural activity or when the injury happens. So we were interested in developing a large-scale brain network model for Alzheimer disease. And why does Alzheimer disease occur? Actually, it is related to memory loss, neural cognitive decline, and neural dysfunction. So we think that it occurs when there are two major proteins like Alzheimer, amyloid beta proteins and tau protein. So when their concentration keep increases, then we think that Alzheimer disease occurs. So that means they are the major hallmark in case of the creation of Alzheimer disease. Now here, once you have the information about the function MRI scan of the brain, this is the connectome we can adopt from the Human Connectome project. We have adopted this by averaging over 418 healthy brains. And you can see here now the white color represent the nodes, the region we have selected, and the blue and red line shows the connection between those regions. So those connection represent our edges here, and the white dots here represent our nodes or the brain region. So based on
Uh,
this, using
Excuse me.
you, yeah,
I'll be having very basic questions. Sorry about
no,
that.
it's
So,
okay.
you draw these nodes and edges based on the image, or there was some extra information given along with the images?
So everything is given on the Human Connectome project database. So once you adopted the connectome, it gives you like this. It will tells you these regions are interconnected and these are the nodes they have already on the entire brain connectome.
And the color of the edges represents something, some intensity or
So
something.
yeah, no, it's just the connection. Like for example, this is we have 10, 15 nodes, 1015 nodes. So these are the same. The red and blue are the same. These are the edges, but how this region is connected to that region. So we have text file over there where you can see the name of these regions as well. So for example, if this is the limbic region, how it is connected to parietal region, now this represent different region and how the limbic is connected to that region. So basically they divided this connectome into two different hemisphere, left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. So when you use the Laplacian transformation, you will be able to develop this adjacency matrix, and you see that the color part represent here the connection between the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So then here you see that based on this data for 1015 nodes, we were able to develop the three-dimensional sagittal view of the brain. The colored part here represent the regions we have selected on the entire connectome, that is limbic, frontal. So in total, we have selected 7 brain regions which are covering the entire human brain. So now, when it comes to Alzheimer disease, there are different proteins, that is amyloid beta and tau protein, and also the non-glial cells, which are the very important part during the progression of Alzheimer disease, are called astrocytes. So astrocytes are actually non-glial cells. They play a dual role during the normal functioning of the human brain. First of all, they try to support our immune system when we are in a healthy state, but when it comes to the disease state of the human brain, for instance, in case of Alzheimer's disease, so instead of protecting the neurons, they will promote the progression of Alzheimer's disease. So that is, if the concentration of astrocytes becomes lower than the concentration of amyloid beta plaques, so instead of protecting the neurons, they will promote the neurotoxicity within the brain. So here, in regards to the large-scale brain network model of Alzheimer's disease, we have considered 3 different cases. In the first case, as shown in figure A, we have considered if the concentration of astrocytes are lower than the concentration of amyloid beta plaques. So this MJ here represent the spreading of toxic proteins. So we have averaged all those amyloid beta plaques and we call them the toxic protein. So you see here in the absence of astrocytes, the amyloid beta concentration keep increasing in all the brain regions. So initially it is increasing until the region intersects and the whole brain goes into a disease state. Then in the second scenario, we have considered if the concentration of SOCs are lower than the concentrations of, are higher than the concentration of amyloid beta plaques. So initially they will try to clear the amyloid beta monomers, but once the nodes intersects with each other, now the toxic proteins, they will diffuse from one brain region to another brain region, and the whole brain will goes into a disease state. So in this scenario, we have adopted the reaction diffusion model. I wish I could show you, but you can see in this publication I have the reaction diffusion model where we integrated the data using the Laplacian term. We have developed the discrete brain network model, and then we saw spatial temporal patterns of the spreading of toxic protein. So you see here, these are the spatial temporal pattern, and the less red color represent the less disease state of the human brain. However, the more dense dark red part here shows the more disease state of the brain. So you see here, the disease usually started within the middle portion of the brain, that is called the limbic region. Since limbic is found in the middle portion of the brain, so there are higher chances of the disease spreading from the middle portion to the entire brain. So then we have recorded these simulations. Since the data was huge, so it will take a lot of your computational time if you are using the MATLAB and Python. So I'm not sure about in Pakistan, but in Canada we have SharkNet supercomputer facilities available. We usually use cloud computing to reduce the computational time. So what you have to do, you write your code in C language, you give a job to your processors, and then it will automatically do simulations for you, and then you will be able to develop the plots in the process data using the MATLAB and get your results. So these are the simulation we have recorded once the disease started in the middle portion of the brain from the limbic region, how it is going to spread from the middle portion to the entire brain region. So basically, we have selected 7 brain region, and after some time, the disease is going to spread all over the brain region. So reaction diffusion models are important when it comes to see the progression of the disease over the entire brain connectome for the multiscale modeling of brain network. So this was the model.
Sorry, sorry, I have
Yeah.
another question. Okay, so the time scale that you are talking about. So from initial stage to the final stage, so how much time it is in, the biological time? 10 years, 15 years, or something like that?
So for this one, we have considered because the Alzheimer disease started when usually patient gets the age of 60 or over 60. So we have considered the time span after 60 years. So we will be considering up to 100 years.
So 40 years time.
Yeah, so 40 years.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So then after after doing analysis on the large scale brain network model, our motive was to develop some small scale brain network models. So instead of considering the entire brain connectome, let's consider small number of nodes, small number of brain regions, and see the
Hina, do
progression
you
of
have the
disease.
reaction diffusion model in your presentation?
uh I have to see, not here, but I can show you if you want.
Okay, well, I have a question related to that. You have shown the graphs. How you are getting these graphs, and what was the time? I have seen the last simulation. The time was a large number. It is in seconds. In the time is, yeah, time started from zero and it goes to a large number at the end. So it is in seconds, minutes, hours, what years?
Yeah,
What
so
is the
this
scale
was,
here?
yeah. So the simulation we have recorded, that was in seconds. Because if we record our
Okay.
simulation having a yearly time scale, that will take a lot of computational time.
The second question was related to the reaction diffusion model. If you have on the slides, you can show me. Otherwise, the graphs in the previous slides which you have shown, these are the graphs you have obtained from the discretization and simulation of that reaction diffusion model. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah. So we have used Laplacian transformation to develop the brain graph.
Okay, okay. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you. Carry on.
no problem.
Uh, I would like to see the model at the end
Yeah, I
if
can,
you
yeah, maybe I will show you at
reference
the end.
article, research article, your research article.
Yeah, yeah, you can search even these articles, for
In
example,
fact,
as
So in fact, the article is not available in Pakistan.
Oh,
Can you please
really?
send the article? Yes, thank you.
Okay, okay, sure, I will. Oh, yeah, I think this was not open access, that's why.
On the mathematical equation.
Yeah.
Ignore
So
that.
then I think we do not have a lot of time, so I will give a quick overview here. So instead of selecting seven brain region, we have only selected four brain region, that is subthalamic nucleus, globus pallidus internus, externus, and the thalamus, because during the Parkinson disease, these are the main brain regions which are the hallmark for the progression of Parkinson disease. Then we have also applied the deep brain stimulation, which is an external electrode, and deep brain stimulation has been proven to be an effective neuromodulation technique to deal with the symptoms of Parkinson disease. And neuroscientists, they claim that if we apply these deep brain stimulation to subthalamic nucleus and the globus pallidus internus, the brain will maintain a healthy state for a sufficient period of time. So you see here, we have seen the concentration of membrane voltages, how they are changes with respect to the time. We have plotted this again in the math lab, and we saw that the resting membrane potential is always minus 75 millivolt. But when it comes to the progression of Parkinson disease, the membrane potential keeps fluctuating and it is sometimes increasing or decreasing. So that is actually the hallmark of Parkinson disease. Now you see here the membrane potential of the subthalamic neurons for discrete brain network model for the different times we have seen. If we apply the deep brain stimulation for a sufficient period of time, if we increase the time interval, the deep brain stimulation part is shown here in the red color. So the blue color represent the healthy state of the human brain and the black one represent the Parkinson state in this picture. So we predicted that if we increase the time interval for the deep brain stimulation, the brain will maintain a healthy state for a sufficient period of the time. And these are the predictability patterns of the subthalamic nucleus and globus pallidus internus with respect to the deep brain stimulation time. Then we have also, instead of integrating the data, we have developed the simple coupled neuron glial models using the mathematical modeling approaches. So these are the two publications I have. I have using these models. So first one was for the onset and progression of Alzheimer disease, where we have used the simple mathematical models for the membrane potential. We wanted to see the exosomal release in neurons and also the concentration of astrocytes. So we see that if we apply the control signal and we increase the time for the induced pulse, we can see that the membrane potential keep increasing. There is a huge increase in the concentration of exosomal release and also the astrocyte, which also leads to the progression of Alzheimer disease. And then exosomes and astrocyte, they play a major role during the onset and progression of Alzheimer disease. Similarly, without having the data, we have developed the simple reaction diffusion model to see the progression of cortical spreading depression. So we have applied the external stimulus in case of for the potassium, because potassium concentration increases during the progression of cortical spreading depression. So we applied the stimulus where we change the concentration of potassium. So we saw that it will lead to increase in the concentrations of neurotransmitters and also the inhibitory and excitatory transmitters, which leads to increase in the concentration of potassium, and then we will get the progression of cortical spreading depression in the human brain. So these were the two simple mathematical models and the reaction diffusion model without having any data. Now, whenever you are doing data integration using mathematical modeling approaches, it is very important to validate those models using statistical terminologies. So the first part of my PhD research was to develop deterministic model without having any statistical and stochastic terms. But in the second part, it was important to validate those models using the real clinical data. So in the first part, we adopted the data from publicly databases like from the Human Connectome project. But in the second part, we adopted the real clinical data for the Alzheimer disease patient from hospitals in Toronto. And then we were able to develop some same models having the same ideas, but then using the statistical terminologies. So it is very important when it comes to brain network network during self-learning and self-organization to have a brain-inspired computing. We have used machine learning in a complex and hybrid system. We develop artificial neural network model, and I'm still doing these. I'm still having a I'm still aiming to develop more sort of neural network models using statistical modeling approaches such as support vector machine learning techniques, and so on. Another important thing here is when it comes to statistical modeling, approximate Bayesian computation technique, which is a numerical method and is used to solve it is used to solve the numerical computation and to save a lot of computational time. And when it comes to neurodegenerative disorder, in order to model those diseases, there's a lot of uncertainties coming from various resources. Sometimes we have data, we have missing values, sometimes we have a lot of error in those data. So approximate Bayesian computation, this helps us to overcome those uncertainties, and we will be able to redefine our model and to fit our data well according to the models you have choose. Because why we do all of these? Because we aim to have healthy communities so that we can validate our model, and clinician or scientists, they can use our modeling approaches to have the drugs for the neurodegenerative disorder. So when it comes to statistical modeling framework and having the Bayesian inference, we adopted the data from EDNI database. We have adopted the data for 1,706 patients. And then we have used the moment approximation where we can develop the negative log likelihood estimation of the parameters. And then we can do our uncertainty analysis using the approximate Bayesian computation technique. Now, this is the overview of the one patient of the Alzheimer disease. You can see the sagittal and longitudinal view of the brain. I know many of you will not understand these terms regarding the human brain, because when I started my PhD, I had to take mathematical biology courses, biostatistic courses, because I was not familiar with the neuroscience and all of these disease parts of the human body. So if you are interested in doing your research in neuroscience, you have to gain the basic knowledge regarding the biology, and then you can take courses regarding mathematical biology, so how you can relate both maths and bio, and then biostatistics. So then you will be able to understand the terminologies behind all of these human anatomy and the human brain scanning. So, our idea for the large scale brain network model to find a relationship between amyloid beta, and we claim that if the astrocyte concentrations are higher than the amyloid beta concentration, the brain will go into a healthy state. So we see here a major decline. We selected the patient whose ages were from 55 up to 90 years, and we have considered three different visits of the Alzheimer disease patient. For example, the initial visit, that was a baseline visit, then the 12-month visit, and then 24-month visit. So you see here, as the age of the patient is increasing, the concentration of amyloid beta is increasing. So that's why there are higher chances once the disease is started, it is not going to stop. Because until now, there are no drugs to cure the Alzheimer disease. There are some in the United States and in Canada, but they have a lot of side effects as well. So instead of getting the cure, patients, they are having another sort of diseases as well. Then we have the temporal distribution of amyloid beta growth for strong and weak astrocyte effect. So for the weak astrocyte, when the concentration is lower than the concentration of amyloid beta plaques, again the brain will goes into a disease state, and then neurotoxicity will spread within the human brain. Then to see either your data fitted well according to the model you have choose or not, we plotted the histogram, and we see that they follows the normal distribution. So it means the data fitted well according to the mathematical and statistical models we have. Then there was no values available for the astrocyte concentration, and we see that if we have guessed these parameter values, and after fitting our data, the true parameter values are closely aligned with the estimated parameter values for astrocytes. So this means this is another sign which tell us that our data fitted well according to the model we have choose. Then we were also interested in the concentration between amyloid beta and calcium using the same ADNI data for 1706 patients for 3 different visits, and then we plotted the concentration for baseline 12 months and 24 months.
Me.
So
Uh, can you comment on the stochastic models you are using? Because previously you said that you have used reaction diffusion equations, and now, yeah, this is the slide. This is the slide I think in which you summarize everything, the algorithm type slide. So
yeah,
at the end of this slide, you are saying that it is a parameter estimation. So parameters they are involved in the stochastic differential equation. You are going to solve the stochastic differential equations, or is this something else?
yes. So actually in stochastic modeling approaches, for example, here we have used moment approximation and expected moments. So what does it means? We are solving Bayesian inference equation using the inverse problem approach. So now we are not using any reaction diffusion model. So using the data, we are going to estimate our parameters, and we wanted to see the data we have. Does it fit well according to the model we have choose? Is it giving us the best approximation according to the parameters we have? For example, in this scenario, we have the ASO size, the parameter, then the growth rate and the death rate of amyloid beta proteins. So that's why we have to use stochastic modeling using the inverse problem.
Okay. Now the inverse problems, they are very sensitive to the
Yeah,
data.
yeah,
They are, I mean, they are normally they are ill posed, specifically talking about the stochastic models.
yeah.
So do you face such type of difficulties while simulation, and how you recover regularization techniques if you have used something, which regularization technique you have used, because
Yeah,
it
so
is
that
very sensitive to the data.
yeah. That's why I said there's a lot of uncertainties when it comes to the data integration of neurodegenerative disorders, and even though any sort of data. So, how do we overcome? We have to use Bayesian inference technique. So, it is a very reliable technique where you can do the parameter identification, and you can use posterior distribution to overcome with the error into your data. And also when it comes to the when it comes to fitting the data and do the data analysis part. So this is until now the Bayesian inference is the best technique where you can use the approximate Bayesian computation.
All right. Carry on. Thank you.
Okay, so then, yeah, this was actually the calcium is another protein which gives us the information about the Alzheimer disease, and there exists a positive loop and very stable loop between the amyloid beta and calcium concentration. So again, we wanted to see using the real clinical data, is it true that there exist they are usually directly proportional to each other? So if the concentration of amyloid beta is increasing, the calcium concentration keeps increasing as well. So yes, we have proved that using the real patient data, and we draw the graph between these two concentration, and you see that they, yes, they do share the direct relationship between uh, these concentration in case of Alzheimer disease. Now, when it comes to machine learning, since we are working on multiscale modeling, so why it is important? Because machine learning and multiscale modeling, they can naturally complement each other. So what do we learn when multiscale modeling meets machine learning? So we do use machine learning tools when it comes to identifying parameter values. When it comes to analyze the data, we have to identify the system dynamics, for example, biology of the human anatomy and also the human brain diseases to create surrogate models. Yes, and also it is important when it comes to managing ill posed problems, we can use some machine learning techniques. For example, we use approximate Bayesian computation to identify the true parameter estimation. So how it is related to multi-scale modeling? First of all, when it comes to integrate the data, we will be using machine learning tools when we refine our data. Then it comes to multi-scale model to predict system dynamics. For example, then you can use partial differential equation, ordinary differential equation to have the physics informed machine learning modeling approaches. So these two are naturally complementing each other, and these are the best techniques when it comes to the data integration of the multimodalities data, such as human brain data and so on. So, now when I was talking about the math bio or biostatistic courses, so what it tells us, it is, for example, I was teaching Calculus 1 course during my PhD. Right now, I am teaching principles of data collection, where we are learning different techniques and how to do data integration using data from different modalities, for example, from the bank, from the statistics of Canada, and so on. So here, these are the models we have developed using the mathematical modeling approaches, but we wanted to see, for example, in case of COVID-19, how we can overcome, which parameter we can use to develop these mathematical model using the COVID patient data and so on. So that means we are trying to convert our teaching into industry oriented problems, so this will help our students to gain a lot experience how they can implement these mathematical and statistical modeling approaches when it comes to the practical applications of the mathematics and statistics. So my proposed research in at University of Manitoba is to analyze disease progression, because we wanted to see the treatment effectiveness that is associated to the cost, and also we are aiming to assess the risk of the long-term disability, because again, the brain diseases are very common in these countries. So we aim to integrate data from different sources. So when it comes to neuroscience, you can grab data of MRI, fMRI scans of the brain, PET scan, genetic data, and so on. And you are always welcome, if you have access to the hospital data, you can adopt those data and then analyze it using the mathematical and statistical modeling approaches. And then you will be able to develop machine learning algorithms that can help to predict the onset of neurodegenerative disorders at an early stages. So if we see the progression of disease at early stage, we can predict something. It will be very helpful for neuroscientists and the clinician to overcome the disease at a later stage, because if you cannot predict at the very early stage, it will be very hard to overcome when the age of the patient is increasing and so on. So this is actually the overview of my proposed research plan for the next 5 years, how what kind of research I'm going to conduct, and what if any students who are interested in working with me, so what kind of specialties they should have in their research background and also in their degrees. So in future, our research vision is according to the University of Manitoba research plan that should align with the stats and data science. So we are promoting as much as we can the statistics principles into data science programs. So for example, we can develop data-driven model to improve disease forecasting and also the policy planning. We investigate the important impact of demographic factors. So instead of having only the brain part, you can also focus on the age of the patient, the gender, the socioeconomic status, because instead of brain injury, there's a lot of other factors involved. Some people, they are struggling financially, some people, they are having family problems, personal problem, and so on, and they are going to the disease state. So these are other demographic factors you can consider when you are going to when you are going to do data analysis using the statistical terminologies. It will be very impactful if you will be able to develop statistic based risk assessment models to identify individuals at higher risk of developing Alzheimer disease. So here, this is my collaborative work with one of the prof in the Pennsylvania State University. So what we are going to do, we wanted to understand the brain and improving diagnosis and treatments in Canada and also in US. So you see here, we adopted this data from the Statistics Canada Population Health Control. You see here, in this year, we adopted the data for the Parkinson disease, and then we are going to predict something for the next years up to 2031. So for the Alzheimer disease. So you see here how it is keep increasing as the time passes, because there are no drugs. So same thing in the United States as well. So in future, we aim to formulate, implement, and do the experimental validation using the computational tool, for example, machine learning models and artificial intelligence techniques as well. And we will also aim to develop the brain computer interfaces model for rehabilitation and the treatment of neurodegenerative disorders. So it will help us and enable direct interaction within the brain, such as neurofeedback, and to promote the healthy communities. So this is also another collaborative work. We developed the data-driven model for the neuron-glial interactions. So using the mouse model data, we have mouse primary visual cortex. So you can see here, this has been done in the neurosurgery lab at the Penn State University as well. So you see the astrocyte concentration, how they are looking. They are in blue color as shown. Green staining is for calcium. We have already developed the mathematical model, but now we want to integrate the real data from the neurosurgery lab to validate those model and to predict something to help the Alzheimer's pathology symptoms in the mouse model. So this is all regarding my research. Thank you so much for listening to me, for the kind invitation and for your time. Now, if you have any question, I will be happy to answer.
G,
Thank
any
you.
questions?
Thank you so much, ma'am, for information.
No
I
problem.
have a question. I have a
Sure.
question about the graphs, brain connections.
Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to know if these brain connections are specific to the Alzheimer's disease, or can we generalize them to other neurological conditions?
No, you can always generalize them. So the data in the human connectome project, it gives you only the information about the overall human connectome. Now it's up to you what kind of disease you are going to study. For example, for the Alzheimer, you see we have 7 brain regions. For the Parkinson disease, we have 4 brain regions. So you have to study first which brain regions are important when it comes to the progression of Alzheimer and when it comes to the progression of other sort of diseases. So it is up to you, and then the biological terminologies, then based on that you will be able to choose the brain regions from the entire brain connectome.
Thank you.
No
I
problem.
also wanted to know at what stage of the Alzheimer's disease were you able to make a reliable diagnosis?
At what stage? So actually the best thing is if we can predict early stage, so then we can recommend something. But the problem here is, as it appears always when the patients they get up to the age of 50 years old or more than that. So once it started, since there is no cure of the disease, there are no drugs, so it keeps increasing. So we are working hard to develop some models for the early diagnosis of Alzheimer disease. So they are still like going on, not developed yet.
Yeah, your data was 60 years or onwards.
I think
It
age is 55 to 90 years.
means not for early onset Alzheimer's,
Yeah, the
which is
early is no, the symptoms always appear after the age of 50. So that is, you can say, okay, if you are getting data for the 55-year-old, you can say that yes, this is the early stage.
okay. Thank you. Um, Also, I have a one question as well. Uh, since your model is stimulated over time, so have you considered like uh, looking at the shape of this trajectories, like using time delay embedding or capturing patterns or cycles in this disease progression
No,
or anything like that?
not yet. We only have the spatio-temporal pattern where you can see the progression with respect to all the brain regions. So there you can see how the brain regions are separated, and once they connect through diffusion, how the disease goes from one brain region to another brain region.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Who is moderating that talk? Because somebody has raised the hand for questions. Take that question from that guy. Okay. All right. If nobody going to ask any question, let me ask the question. Hina, thank you very much for your time and your nice presentation. Thank you very much, first of all.
No
So, from your
problem.
presentation, it seems, thank you. So, from your presentation, it seems that you have developed many skills, starting from the understanding of partial differential equation, then stochastic differential equation, then inverse problems, and then statistical, and at then you are moving towards the machine learning. So the question is quite generic. Do you believe that nowadays the artificial chatbots and artificial intelligence, which has been developed tremendously over the last 2 to 3 years. Is this new chatbots or AI techniques or bots are going to affect your research or coding or something like that? What are your comments?
So, yeah, this is a major concern here as well. Like, I think our time was very good when we were not having all these kind of softwares and open AI. But the thing is, we cannot ban that, right? But we have to learn how we can grow with this. So I feel like you should have a basic knowledge, like for the students and for the next generation, they should understand the basic thing behind the stats, maths, and let's say biology. And when it comes to use chatbot and whatever artificial intelligence software, open AI you're using, you should be able to see the difference. Either it is giving you the accurate information or it is not. Because if you completely rely on open AI, you are going to predict a lot of dangerous things as well, right? So instead of banning this, we can work with it, but still we have to work hard to learn and to emphasize our skills, and also we should not overcome with our learning ability. That is very important.
Exactly. I agree with you that you have to be expert of using these bots, chatbots, and you have to be expert of your field to get
Yeah.
positive from these chatbots. Otherwise, they can lead to some very incorrect and or something like that, which is mathematically or which is physically not possible. Thank
Yeah,
you very
the good
much
thing
once
is,
again for your time. And
good thing is open AI when still when it is come to a technical problem, for example, pure mathematical and statistical problem, it cannot generate the accurate information. So if you have plenty of knowledge about maths and stat, you can tell that, oh yes, it is giving me the wrong information. But if you are completely blind, like completely, you are blindly trusting on open AI, then your future is in your hands.
yeah, ex-
I have a question.
Sure.
How can your brain modeling research be applied in real life clinical settings for early diagnosis of neurodegenerative diseases?
So in practical life, it can be applied if you talk to, for example, our collaborators, they are doctors, they are neurosurgeons. So what do they have? They do have the data from the patients, but of course they are not mathematician and statisticians, so they cannot predict something based on the data only. Okay. So in Canada, the good thing is now the doctor they needs mathematician and statistician, and we do need them to have a data because we do not have any labs in our stats department and maths department, for instance. So we both are complementing each other. Yes, we do need you and you do need us. So we can implement these tools, for example, machine learning and statistical tools, having real data from the patients, and then implement something of good accuracy that will help the doctors and the clinicians.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Also, I have another question.
Yeah, for example, another thing is when we developed the model for the calcium and amyloid beta, so we saw that they do share the direct relationship, right? So if we decrease the concentration of calcium, we decrease the concentration of astrocytes, then the amyloid beta concentration will decrease as well, and the patient will goes into a healthy state. So if you want a real practical application, we can tell the pharmacist or neurosurgeon, okay, if you can make a drug which will leads to the which will have the lower concentration of calcium and the lower concentration of astrocytes, and we give to Alzheimer disease patient, yes, then we can check they are going to a healthy state for a sufficient period of time or not.
Okay, that's really great. For mathematics students that are doing bachelor, what skills are most important to work in brain network modeling or neuroscience
Yeah,
research?
so this is a very, very good question, and I'm sure nobody will mind if I say that when I was doing my bachelor's in comp sets, so they did not teach us anything regarding the coding, even though we do have one MATLAB course when we took, I think, numerical methods. I'm not sure exactly now. So how does they teach us the MATLAB? you have to memorize the code, and then it will come into your exam and you write the code as it is. Okay. When I went to England for my master's program, everything was regarding coding. You do not have to memorize anything, you do not have to memorize any formula. So the exams were like open book exam. So now you have a problem how you are going to do it practically using the coding or using any softwares. So now for you, the best thing is try to learn the Python, try to learn any data analysis softwares. For example, you can use cloud computing, you can learn C language, C. There was another C language, I'm not sure now, parallel programming when it comes to brain modeling, because since you are having multi-scale models, you are having different nodes, and when you use cloud computing, you have to learn serial programming or parallel programming. So all these are very important. Yes, your course contents are important, whatever they teach you during your bachelor's program, but you have to learn how you are going to solve those equations using the softwares as well. So when you are going out of Pakistan, it is not going to matter. You know the mathematical model, you know the analysis part, but you are not going to implement it using the data. You are not able to do using the for example, you have to learn hands-on skills. You have to learn how to integrate it, how to use different software. That is very important. So instead of memorizing, do some practical work. For example, if someone is giving you any problem, you can solve it using the software. So this is how you will be successful in the research.
Okay, thank you so much. I have also questioned that what are the some scholarships opportunities in Canada for international students applying for bachelor or masters or PhDs?
Yeah. So uh, actually the situation right now is very hard. You must learn somewhere as well. They banned the students, like they've reduced the number of students this year and the last year as well, even though my students also applied from Pakistan, but they did not receive a visa. So it is very hard. But the first thing, if it is not going to stop, maybe next year the things will get better. So first thing is you have to have a good GPA. For example, you have to secure more than 80% in your bachelor's program. So here in Canada, the standard is really very high as compared to UK. So in UK, if you are 80, you have 80%, you will be fine. But still, it's hard to get scholarships there because they do not have a lot of opportunities and their standard is not very high. When you do master's program there, it's okay if you are having B plus B grades, but when it comes to Canada, the education standard is really very high. You have to maintain your grades. For example, during the master or PhD, you have to have more than 80% in all of your courses. You have to publish 2 papers during the master's program. You have to publish at least 4 papers during your PhD. So yeah, this is all. And the thing is how you have to uh, find a potential supervisor in Canada, align your thesis with their research, see what you are doing and what are the expertise of the supervisor. So you just email them, tell them I'm doing this, I have this research background, my GPA is this much, I'm very keen to do master's or PhD or whatever, and I'm interested in your research area. So if they are interested, they will reply you back. Sometimes you are a good student, but the supervisor, they do not have enough funding to support you, so then they cannot take you. So it is not like you're not a good student and you're not getting an admission and you're not getting accepted by the supervisor. So there's a lot of other factors involved, but the first thing is your GPA.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am, for the informative
Yeah,
talk.
and if you need anything, all of you, any question, you are always welcome to send me an email, and I will be happy to guide you.
All right, ma'am. If anyone have another questions, then please ask to the
Yes,
ma'am.
yes, I have a question. Thank you so much for the presentation. My
No
question,
problem.
my question is with respect to data. For instance, if you have a data with lot of missing values, so how do you handle the missing values just to be able to maintain the integrity of the data?
So it depends what variable is missing there. So you can always describe it how you are dealing with that. For example, in Alzheimer case, we have some data missing for each patient. So for example, some patient they have data for the 36 months as well. Some of them they do not have. So then what we did, we find out the average of the majority of the data, and we saw that most of the patient they do have data regarding the baseline visit, then 12 months, and then 24 months. So we completely neglected the 36 months data, and we only focused on the first 3 visits. So it depends how you are going to tackle the data.
All right, all right. And again, what is your opinion, concerning courses offered in ComSat during MS program? Like, if you look at though we are in mathematics department, but I also suggest that if possible, I think more statistical courses should also be offered, because looking ahead, I think statistics is also very important in this
Yeah,
generation.
actually, for me, I did my bachelor's, not master's in composites, and the bachelor's was in maths honors. So I did not have any objection with that because my major was in maths, right? So that's why I had to take most of the maths courses. But some universities they do have different program. For example, bachelor's in stats, bachelor's in maths. So when it comes to that part, then you will be able to highlight this point. If you are in stats, yes, you have to take majority of statistical courses. But if you are in maths, it's okay if you are having majority of the mathematical courses.
All right, thank you so
And
much.
my time at Comsys was the best. I think I was lucky enough to have great teachers during my time, and I learned a lot from them. And what I am today is because of my undergrad degree. Even though I've done my masters in UK and PhD in Canada, but the basic knowledge I gained it was only through the Comsys and my professors in Comsys University.
Okay, that's fine. And just as you have highlighted that all these things that we are doing, if possible, we need to learn how to solve complex problem using the software. It's not just enough to just memorize and just enter the
Yeah,
exam hall,
so
type
that
exam and
part,
go.
yeah, that part, okay, that will be very good enough if they can have one course related to software tools regarding data science as well. For example, maths and data science. And Dr. Zegam already talked to me about this, and I think I will be happy. And he is also keen to engage these two programs like data science and stats and maths, whatever. But the other thing is you can also enhance your software skills when it comes to do your bachelor's thesis. So yeah, you can polish your skills when it comes to write the thesis, when you're conducting a research, and then yeah, that is a good thing as well.
All right, thank you so much. I'm an international student. I came from Nigeria and
Huh.
I'm having good time here in Pakistan.
Nice to meet you, and good to know that you are enjoying Pakistan.
All right, thank you so much. And before you leave,
Good luck with
I
your studies.
we need to have your email in case of any
Yeah,
question.
sure. I think Saad, the one who is coordinating all of this, he had my email, and you can always go to Stats Department, University of Manitoba, and you can have my email and my lab, everything. All the information is available there.
Okay, okay. So thank you so much.
No
Also,
problem.
can you please send your research articles which are not available in Pakistan?
Yeah, sure. I will do that.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yeah, I have only 5 minutes left, so yes.
Yes, ma'am. What is your suggestion for the current undergraduate students?
For what? Sorry, your voice is cutting off. Hello?
Um,
She wants to know a word of wisdom for the current undergraduate students.
Hello.
Yeah, sorry, what for current undergraduate students?
A word of wisdom.
Oh, okay. Nothing. Just do your best and keep focused, keep motivated, and think now what you exactly want to do in future. Your undergrad student thesis is very important. It will take you to your future and your next paths, like whatever you want to do in your master program. That will be highly it will leads to take the path for your research in master and in PhD program. So undergrad thesis is very important, whatever you have done, what kind of skills you have polished. So just be focused. Some people they say bachelor's is nothing, but I think when it comes to get here in international program, it is very important what kind of courses you have taken during your bachelor's, what kind of thesis you have done, what is your research background, because they judge you from your coursework and also from your research what sort of basic skills you have. So that will leads to your major paths in your life.
So most of the undergrad BS mathematics students think that they are stuck in BS maths and
No,
the world,
yeah, that was same
that's
as
the end of
me.
the world for them.
Yeah, I remember when it was my time, even in Pakistan, like maths is nothing. They think, oh, you're not a doctor, you're not an engineer, then how come like math is going to be very powerful in future? But no, math and stats, even though in Canada, I can tell you now they are on top when it comes to data science programs. No doctors, no engineers are not getting any priority. Only the mathematician and statistician, they are on high priority at this time. My two sisters are doctors and they are still behind if I compare myself with me, and then I tell them, see, I was telling you math has some power, and it does have some power. Just the thing is you have to excel in your field. It does not matter what kind of degree you are having, what sort of university you are going, but what matter is what kind of skills you have, what kind of hands-on learning experience you have. That matters the most. When I applied for my job here in Canada, they didn't bother to check my age, they didn't bother to check my GPA. They just check me to my practical skills, how I am in my research, how can I tackle the problems, how can I present myself, how can I sell myself. So that is very important. Yes, they do get the information about your GPA at some point, but when it comes to hire you, nobody asks you regarding these things in Canada. So what mattered the most is your personality, your education skills, your hands-on learning experience, and that's all. So it's not Pakistan where they judge you with your GPA, with your grades. No, they will judge you with your practical skills.
Okay, so you said that there are not lots of opportunities in Canada at the moment. So with your international exposure, what kind of opportunities you suggest for these undergraduate students?
There are opportunities. You cannot completely say that there's not a lot of opportunities, because but actually after the COVID things change a lot and this situation is becoming worse, but they are trying to overcome with it. So the opportunities for undergrad student, the first thing to get enter into this country is you have to get, if you want to follow the student route, you have to get an admission in master's program. And yes, there is one more. If you want to do a summer internship, I told you before, MyTex, that is a global program where you can apply for internships if you have a high GPA, and then you can choose the supervisor there. If they are open to supervise, then you can come to Canada, and if you are doing good enough in your internship for the MyTex program, maybe the supervisor will be happy to have you as a master student, and then you do not have to go back. You can stay in Canada and follow the master student route. So these are the two options for the undergrad students. Other than that, there are plenty of options, but not on the student route.
All right, thank you so much. Degrees are good, but they are not sufficient. We need to have the skills.
Yeah,
Thank you so
exactly.
much.
But yes, your GPA is important as well when it comes to get a visa. But I'm just talking about when it comes to get a job. Okay, I'm not saying when it comes to get admission in the master's program and in the PhD program. Yes, they do judge you with your GPA because they don't know you. They never met you, right? So the first thing that is presenting you is your transcript, right? So that is important part when it comes to follow a student path, or if you want to continue your education.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
On the behalf of Mathematics Department, I sincerely thanks Dr. Hina Shaheen for her valuable time and knowledge and all of you for the active participation. Anyone have more questions, then please ask. I think no one have question. So thank you so much, ma'am, and Allah Hafiz.
Thank you very much.
I
Thank
love
you, Hina.
this. Nice to
All
meet
right.
you,
Thank you
everyone.
so
Thank you.
much.
Bye.
Allah Hafiz.
Uh,
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank you
okay.
so much.
Allah Hafiz.
thank you, Dr. Suhail, for a kind invitation and keep in touch. Have a great day. Bye.
Have a great day. Thank you. Thank you for accepting.